welcome. It's Margarita Cardenas with Urban Traditions, and today we're going to highlight the New Leaf Community Market's wine section. Last time we were together, we had our expert, Dave Martinez, and he suggested that we read more labels and avoid anything that deals with corn, i.e. corn syrup, the sodas, and he suggested that we drink more beer and wine. So we went to the New Leaf Community Markets and perused the wines there. We found a lot of sustainable and organic wines. And actually, let's go and listen to T. John Chavez, the manager and buyer of New Leaf Community Markets wine.
My name is T. John Chavez. I'm the beer and wine buyer and manager at New Leaf Community Markets here in Half Moon Bay. I've been in the grocery business for quite a while. I worked at Trader Joe's actually for about 15 years. I managed quite a few other stores, and then of course just through them I got to know wine and in the grocery business per se. Yes, we have a lot of organic wines here at New Leaf Market. Trader Joe's has a fair amount too, but with this being a health food store, organic type nature of business, we do have a fair amount of organic wines, and they come from all over, not just California, but from Chile and Argentina and other parts of the world too. So we have a fair amount, red and white and rosé, and people seem to like the organic type wines. They can be a little bit more fragile, of course, because they are organic, but they've been holding up very nice and selling at a brisk pace. Well, because there's no additives. And without additives, it's like fruit or vegetables. They tend to, they can go a little bit quicker because of no preservatives. Firstly, we make sure that when we do receive them, that they are handled correctly before they even come in the store, and then we keep them at the correct temperature without fluctuating heat. Cold, hot. That's not good for any wine, but especially with organic wines. So kept at the right temperature and the right environment, they hold up pretty much just as well as those that do add sulfites. And as an added benefit, which a lot of people like, because some of the organic wines, not all, but some organic wines don't add any sulfites. Some people who tend to get headaches because they drink wine because of the sulfites, when they drink some of the organic wines without it, they've come back to me and said that they really haven't experienced a headache like they had in the past. Yes, there's organic wines made everywhere. I have organic wines, like I said, I have one that comes from Austria. I have several that come from Chile. I have several that come from Argentina. So they're, pretty much wherever organic farming is and where wine is made, they can be made. Well, the events that we have here at the store, every Friday, and you can probably hear the music in the background, but every Friday between 4 and 6 p.m., we have either a beer tasting or, like today, we have a wine tasting, and it gives the people a chance to come to the store, try some of the wines that we have here at the store, and also meet sometimes the winemaker or the person representing that winery. Here at New Leaf, we have a good selection of wines, which I call at a fair price. We have them in all different price points, but it's not just to where wines have to be expensive. They can be very affordable, and very price friendly. Whether it's a Cabernet or whether it's a Sauvignon Blanc or everything in between. So we try to have different price points for everybody to enjoy.
Well, today we have wine broker and owner of her own wine brokerage firm, and that is Darlene de La Cerna. Hi, Darlene.
Hello, Margarita. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, it's nice to see you again.
Thank you.
And Darlene, tell us a little, how did you get involved with wine?
Back in 2007, I began working for a small winery in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And initially, they hired me as their event coordinator. But after working with them for 3 months, they saw that my forte was in sales. So they put me out into the market. And at the time, they had 24 accounts. And within 1 year, I increased their customer base, and I did 52 events for them to further market their product. So during the time I was with the winery, I also did 3 years of wine education at Cabrillo Junior College, the culinary department there, and which has really helped me in presenting and speaking intelligently about wine.
Exactly. And well, how's the relationship with New Leaf Community Markets? How did that develop?
Again, back in 2007, I started working with New Leaf Community Market, the downtown store on Pacific Garden Mall, and they were already buying the product, and they also had the products up in the Felton store and the Capitola store. Since then, New Leaf obviously has grown. Now you have the Half Moon Bay store. You have the West Side store in Santa Cruz on Fair Avenue. You also have the new Silver Creek store in South San Jose, and soon to have the new store in Pleasanton.
So you were, then you represent a lot of the local growers here in the area. Can you tell us some of those wineries?
Well, I did bring some wines today, and I can speak really briefly about them. As far as growers, I'd like to highlight La Honda Winery, which is produced and bottled in Redwood City. So it's just right over the hill. What's unique about La Honda is that they manage over 40 different vineyards from Saratoga all the way north to Woodside on both sides of the mountain. What they do is that they're contacted by property owners who have acreage anywhere from 1 to 3 acres, and they come in, they inspect the soil, they determine what grapes would grow best in that area, and they do everything from the managing, the harvesting, producing, bottling, and then 20% of the product goes back to the vineyard owner, and La Honda keeps 80% for their vintages. So it's a very unique, sustainable situation between winery and vineyard.
And so, to the best of your knowledge, what is the process of the winemaking?
For all of the wineries I represent, it's basically the same for all of them. The harvesting, the pressing, the fermentation tanks, 7 to 10 days, barrel aging, and then the bottling. And barrel aging can be anywhere from 9 months to 14 months for some of my wineries. Bottle aging, as you'll see, currently the Boite out of Carmel Valley, our current vintage of the Cabernet Sauvignon is a 2005. So we don't bring anything out before its time. It gets a lot of bottle aging so that the tannins for this particular wine has time to basically make friends and settle down within the bottle.
Okay. Well, I see we've got some wines here. Can we go into some of the stories here behind the wines?
Yes. And again, the story that's behind each of these wines is what makes the experience very memorable, not only for the consumer, but it's important for each of these wineries. Again, going back to Boite, the first 2 bottles here. The first one is the Cabernet Sauvignon, and again, that's a 2005 Cabernet Sauvignon. And the one next to it is the Cheval Rouge, which is a classic Bordeaux blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, and a hint of Merlot. Boite is in Carmel Valley, and they have 7 acres dedicated to growing their grapes, namely Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, and the Merlot. And what's amazing about Boité is that they recently were acknowledged by wine enthusiasts in the March issue. The Cabernet Sauvignon received 91 points plus Editor's Choice, and the Cheval Rouge also 91 points. The Cab Franc 92 points. So for such a...
And explain to what is the 92 points and what does that mean? That
it's a rating that wine enthusiasts and other magazines will have a panel taste the wines, and collectively they will rate the wines. One other thing about Boité is that it's a very small production, family-run winery by John and Janice Saunders. Their sons do a lot of the delivering, and it's very handcrafted, very small production. It's a winery that never rushes anything. And if you have the opportunity to go to Carmel Valley, to their tasting room, you'll just feel the very warm, receptive nature of the family there, and it's a wonderful little winery out there.
Well, I just love the it's just so visually pleasing, really. You know, look at this beautiful graphic art. I saw the award with when I was there at the happy hour there,
Right.
their acclamations there. So it's just a beautiful bottle. The graphics there. Okay, so let's go into...
Okay, so the next two wines we have, Pandal and Poetic Cellars. A feature that we've done at New Leaf Community Markets is featuring celebrating women in the wine industry. Both of these wines are produced by women. Pandal is Jenny Pandal. Now, very special. You can see everything from the choice of the foil to the design of the label. Everything is very delicate. This is a 100% Pinot Noir. It's all sourced from the Regan Vineyards in Soquel. And Jenny did a production of 70 cases. So again, this is small production, boutique winery, handcrafted, and everything from the packaging to what's in the bottle is very delicate. This is probably one of my more delicate, beautiful Pinot Noirs in my book.
Really?
Wow. And you could see she's spent a lot of time matching the foil to the Pinot Noir color
And
on
the
the
color
label.
is just beautiful in there. Well, it's very elegant. The foil is very elegant.
Yeah, that's a
Delicate.
great way to describe Jenny. The next wine is Poetic Cellars, and the winemaker is Kate Lavelle. She's been making wine for over 25 years, and she owns 38 acres out in the Livermore Valley, where she grows Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Syrah, Syrah, Mourvedre. She has some Viognier out there as well. She brings all of her grapes to her winery in Soquel, and that's where she does all of her producing, bottling, and labeling. And again, you can see from the label that women winemakers, they go for the more delicate, they go for the more subtle labels, and the wine in here, which this one is entitled Ballad. So this, again, this is a red blend, Cabernet Sauvignon and Cab Franc, and it's all estate grown out at her property in Livermore Valley.
Very pretty. I love that. Well, the rose, we do love our rose pinks.
Yes, yes. The next one I brought to share is Senders. The winemaker, Craig Senders, he's out of the Davis area. He's a professor at the University of Davis. And in his spare time, he makes wine. And this is one of the wines in my portfolio that I call wines with a cause. All of the profits from Craig Senders' wines goes into a foundation that he founded that travels all around the world, and he himself does cranial facial repairs for children all around the world. He's traveled to India, the Philippines, doing these operations. He spoke about a year and a half ago in San Jose, and he was kind enough to come to my wine tasting at New Leaf Community Market in San Jose. Had wonderful stories to share with the customers, and he's just an all-around amazing man.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So, and also I want to mention that this Cabernet Sauvignon is sourced from the Stag's Leap district. So this is your typical Napa Cab, your big, lush, just beautiful fruit that's coming out of that whole district. And then we have La Honda. So again, La Honda, a neighbor,
Right.
just right over the hill. Very unique because of its farming practices. Colin McNanny, a brilliant, young, up-and-coming winemaker. He is a graduate of UCSC and 29 years old. He made, or was the assistant winemaker for Bargetto for a couple of years, and now is the full-time winemaker for La Honda. He does an amazing, what I have here, a Pinot Noir. He also does amazing Cabernet Sauvignons. La Honda also produces Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blancs, and all of those are sourced from the vineyards that they manage here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And they are one of my wineries that are sourcing solely from the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Oh.
So it makes them very special.
Yes.
And New Leaf, being very supportive of local wineries, has been a huge, huge supporter of La Honda Winery.
Right. And the next?
The next one, is, I have a portfolio. I partner with Matador Vino, Michael Hutchinson. And actually, Michael found me in 2010, right after I got my license. He found me through a customer at the time that we both worked with, and she recommended to Michael that he contact me because of my education in Spanish wines. And I've been working with Michael since then. We together, and he also has a team all throughout Northern California. We represent Spain, Argentina, Chile. We have a handful of wineries out of the Columbia Valley in Washington State, and we also have a few wineries that we handle out of Willamette Valley, Oregon. What I brought tonight is a Garnacha from Spain, and this is, I have to admit, one of the #1 sellers of my Spanish wines, especially at New Leaf Community Markets. John has been very supportive of this wine, and it's a great valued wine. John mentioned that New Leaf has a whole range of price points, and this is a great valued wine. It's a great product, great value, and it's a wine that people should be enjoying as their everyday wine.
Oh, really? Well,
Yes.
I do love Spanish wines. What is the name of that?
This is Aldea, and it's
Aldea.
a Garnacha from Spain.
Garnacha. Interesting. And the next one, I love that bottling
This
there.
one is very special. So this is Eden. It's a Vermont ice cider. In this bottle is 8 pounds of apples grown in Vermont. And what makes this very different than any of the other wines is that, similar to the production of iced wines, where they allow the grapes to sit on the vines till very late in the season, where they become dehydrated, when they go to press, the outcomes is very concentrated juice. The same with Eden Ice Cider. So the apples sit in the trees, and they are harvested very late in the season. So now you have this very dehydrated, shriveled up apple. They press it. Out comes this very concentrated apple juice, which goes into glass carboys that sit in the snow, and it's what's called a cold fermentation. So it sits in the snow all winter, and then in the springtime it's bottled. It took 8 pounds of apples to make this one bottle of Eden Ice Cider. There's no coloring, no sugar, no additives. This is 100% pure apples. and it's only 11% alcohol.
Wow.
So this is a real treat. It's a little bit more pricey, but well worth the experience. And I recommend this could be served as an aperitif. It could be served as along with your dinner, but it also can be served as a dessert wine. So this one is just an all-around amazing, amazing wine.
Really sounds like it. I'd love to taste that one myself. Well, now let's go into a little bit of pairings. At New Leaf Community Markets, they do suggest some. I didn't see that many, but can you give us just a little suggestion what we can pair with each?
Of course. So I'm gonna go in this direction since we ended with the Eden ice cider. So I mentioned that this could be served as an aperitif. It's a wonderful palate neutralizer before dinner. If you were going to enjoy this with your dinner, something that I've done and a restaurant in Los Gatos has done is to serve it with grilled pork chops. On the side to have freshly made apple sauce, and then to serve this in the small aperitif glass and enjoy it that way. If you were going to serve this as a dessert wine, you would want to pair this with something very buttery. So say a pecan pie with a buttery crust, or some nice soft cheese to complement it. This will stand up to a lot of different varieties. The garnacha, this was a wonderful wine to be served with grilled meats. My favorite type of grilled meat is something barbecued with a dry barbecue sauce, but also this would be wonderful with a saucy barbecue sauce as well. Collins Pinot Noir, on the delicate side, so I would lean towards maybe a grilled salmon or a nice lamb chop. So I would keep this on the more delicate side. You want something to complement this, and something fatty is always going to go nice with this one. The Cabernet Sauvignon, Craig Sender's Cabernet Sauvignon. Now this is a big wine, and you could go if you are looking at red meats. This would be wonderful with a a ribeye with maybe sprinkled with blue cheese on top. That would be really beautiful. Kate's Ballad, because the blend is Cabernet Sauvignon and Cab Franc, again, this is going to stand up to a nice meat. Maybe a pot roast would be nice, a beef stew, something real warm, something real homey. Jenny's Pinot Noir, again, keeping in mind that this is delicate. So, again, I would recommend something like a salmon. This would be with ahi tuna. Grilled ahi tuna would be very nice with this as well. When you get over to Boité, and one thing I do want to mention again, when I say Carmel Valley, this is 2 miles past the small village of Carmel Valley. So you're talking very warm temperature. These grapes hang their full time, and they are not green by any means. They are that nice ripe grape that's in there. And so these can also stand up to something very saucy, nice pasta, saucy pasta dishes, or again your barbecued ribeyes. I always default to ribeyes because that happens to be my favorite. So, simple pairings. I enjoy cheese with wines, but I really do enjoy my wines with my dinners.
Yes,
so
yes. I have to agree with that. Yes. Well, we have 2 interviews of some shoppers at New Leaf Community Markets. Let's hear what they had to say.
I've been in the area 20 years.
Oh, wow. And why do you shop here at New Leaf?
I come for I try to eat organically as much as I can. So I come mainly for that, and also just how they buy products. They seem to be quite Oh, stop it. Just the principles of how they operate. I think, sustainability, all of that sort of thing. So even they sell things locally. I try to even look for local vegetables and yeah, probably not enough. I mean, I do know about it, I just didn't know the
term.
yeah, and that's very important to me as life goes on. I mean, particularly generations to come, my kids and all of that.
Exactly.
So that's what's important to me.
Yes.
So even if something's not organic, as long as it's grown naturally and hasn't been interfered with genetically, that will be very important for me. The service here is great, the staff are great, and it was very helpful, and people seem to enjoy working here, so it's a pleasure to come in.
Maureen Deer, and I live here in Half Moon Bay, and we're at the New Leaf Market today, and we're listening to Irish music, listening to their happy hour every Fridays from 4 to 6, and I usually play on the Fridays, but this is great to have a variety of music also. I play ukulele, and I play other instruments, but I play ukulele here at the happy hour. Yes, I shop here almost every day because I like to get my produce fresh, my fruits fresh, so I eat them every day and then come the next day and buy them fresh. They put out new produce and new fruit every day. I see them, just putting out the new produce every day. And they, have fresh breads every day. And if I don't want to cook, then I can go to their freshly made dishes. I can get a pizza, I can get a sandwich, I can get chicken, I can get their kale. I mean, there's so many things to choose from. You could probably eat here every day for 2 weeks and not eat the same thing. And I enjoy everybody here too. It's so nice to, come to a store and be able to say hi to everybody. And everybody says hi back, and they know you by your name, which is nice.
Well, now you know. New Leaf Community Markets has a happy hour from 4 to 6, and Darlene will be there to introduce some of these wines and make suggestions. And they had a band that day, and that was the Lighthouse String Band. You're gonna hear some of them a little later. But thank you, Darlene, for coming.
Thank you again for inviting me.
You really educated me today.
Thank you.
And hey, everybody, we're going to see you next time. And above all, happy gardening. Well, that's all for today. We'll see you next time. And above all, everyone, happy gardening.